afternoon, everyone. It's Alyssa Corum here, and I am joined by Ken Shree with a look at the stock market today. And on today's show, we're going to break down the action for the major indexes and also take a look at three medical sector stocks with some interesting action today. Ken, how's it going?
It's going great, Ellie. I want to take a look at three stocks today, as you mentioned, from the healthcare sector. First of all, we'll take a look at Quidel, QDEL, and two diabetes stocks that we've been talking about in recent weeks, but still acting well.
All right, but not acting quite well as we would like it today is the major indexes. We have the NASDAQ finishing down 1.6% for the day, the S&P 500 down 1.9%, and the Dow, the hardest hit, down 2.3% for the day. But the silver lining here, Ken, some support at a very key level for the NASDAQ.
Yeah, there was some word very late that there was possibly some progress made on stimulus talks, although there's still a lot of skepticism about whether a deal is going to be reached before the election. I mean, we're about a week away from the presidential election, but some late headlines about possible progress on stimulus talks. We did get a close above the 50-day moving average for the NASDAQ, but a close below the 50-day line for the S&P 500. Volume was pretty heavy on the NYSE, so it looks like we got a distribution day for the S&P 500, and it's a close call on the NASDAQ.
Mm-hmm. Well, this is the pivotal crossroads that we've been talking about here. I mean, support at this level is extremely key, but this next week or so, it could be filled with headlines that may send stocks up to new heights potentially, or breaking through key support. So it's a good time to really be nimble.
Yeah, it's exactly what you and Ed talked about on Friday's video for again, you look at the NASDAQ's recent pullback down to the 50-day moving average. There are a lot of instances where the index was nicely higher during the session and closed very weakly near its session low. So, this is definitely a market uptrend that's under a little bit of pressure here. But it's just such a busy week of earnings. Some really nice earnings reports from the FANG stocks and a slew of other top-rated growth stocks could be enough to help this market out. We'll have to see.
Yeah, that's right. A lot of interesting action underneath the surface. So let's take a look at Quidel QDEL with a big gain of over 6% for the session. Volume wasn't quite above average, but it was higher than quite a few of the last sessions in a row here, Ken, breaking a downward sloping trend line after finding support at the 21-day. We have earnings right around the corner, though, so a little bit tricky this one is.
Yeah, definitely. Earnings are Thursday after the close, but Quidel is it's a coronavirus stock play. A couple of headlines earlier this month. In early October, the company gave very bullish sales guidance for its earnings report coming up Thursday, and the company also received emergency use authorization for a flu test and also a COVID-19 test. So bullish sales guidance from Quidel, and you can see here a composite rating of 99 on the MarketSmith chart. So it's got great fundamentals and great technicals, and we'll see what the earnings report on Thursday looks like.
That's right. It does have the potential to move really big on its quarterly earnings report, but that door swings both ways. So I guess when you have a stock that is tied to headlines, the way that something like this company is, that does give you a little bit of added risk outside of the earnings reports, but right now it's looking pretty strong.
Well, yeah, and it's an excellent point, because as this base formed, you can see there was a pullback from 306 down to 135. That's a pullback of about 55%. So typically when a cup with handle base forms, or really any base for that matter, when it pulls back 55%, that makes it flawed by definition. And you can see some very heavy institutional selling as the stock came down. But it has worked its way higher. Its relative strength line is back near high. So it's not a perfect technical setup by any means. But again, back to the daily chart, there's a pretty clear pivot here of 287.30. So we'll see if this one can report a big quarter on Thursday.
That's right. Always great to have stocks that are setting up in bases on your radar as they head into earnings reports. And we also want to check in on two diabetes plays, as you mentioned, Ken, starting off with Dexcom, DXCM. It's had a string of a couple gains in a row here. Today is over 1.7%, and we have earnings coming up tomorrow for Dexcom.
Yeah, right. Tomorrow after the close, and we've covered Dexcom a lot. It's been in a lot of our growth screens for many months, and it's been the topic of Stock Market Today videos. But yeah, this is still an early stage consolidation. It's back above its 10-week moving average. The stock reports earnings Tuesday after the close. It's a maker of continuous glucose monitoring systems, so a top-performing diabetes stock. This used to be a member of Leaderboard, but we got rid of it when it plunged below the 50-day moving average back in early September. Yeah, right in that area there. So we're still watching this one. You could almost say it broke out over a mini trend line today. So we'll have to see. There you go. Yeah, right there, and took out the 420 level. So we'll see what earnings look like Tuesday after the close.
That we will. Yeah, good to see it back above that 50-day line. So we'll have to see if it can continue powering higher. Who knows? Earnings might be the catalyst for some more gains. And let's check in on peer Insulet, PODD, which gained about 1.7% for the day. Now, this stock has been holding up a little better in recent months than Dexcom, with some support around this 50-day here and slightly extended, perhaps, depending on the way you look at it, from a buy range. What's your take?
Yeah, a few things going on here. First of all, we're going to hear from Insulet next week on November 4th. So we're really in the heart of earnings season here. But Insulet is a little different than Dexcom. It makes insulin delivery systems. But a couple things going on here. First of all, you can see a low volume breakout recently over a 234.09 buy point, and that is noted right there exactly. And then good support at the 21-day moving average last week. And if we flip over to the weekly chart, this is a good example during an uncertain market where we're starting to see signs of institutional selling in the indexes. This stock completed a nice 3 weeks tight pattern. So we're looking at the stock right now, holding near highs, trading tightly after a breakout. There's a lot to like here. This is still an early stage base with a relative strength line that's near new highs. So a lot to like about Insulet as well.
That's right. And I really like these forward-looking earnings estimates. So
No
yeah,
question.
this is another one that there have been a couple of these reports where you really start to see some impressive growth out of these companies, and it really is a catalyst for the stock. And we like looking at stocks that are setting up, heading into earnings, playing some options. Maybe Ken, a little bit about that,
Yeah.
and looking at some breakouts as well.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I can't stress it enough that this week is going to be very busy. On Thursday, we have 4 FANG stocks set to report earnings, and then just a slew of top-rated growth stocks. So be sure to check the Stock Market Today Stock Market Today columns at investors.com, and we'll be covering all these earnings reports, and we'll go over more in tomorrow's video as well.
Yeah, we will, because the interesting thing here is, even though it feels like the market's coming under more pressure, as you mentioned, we could get some good reports. Maybe that'll help fuel the next leg higher. And not only that, with the pullback in the market, a lot of these top stocks have been setting up during that time and forming proper buy points after, the spring and summer months just really not taking a breath. Now we've seen proper bases developing. So we'll have to see how it goes. I mean, we could get some just more disappointments than surprises, but we'll just have to see how it shakes out. But one thing's for sure, we're going to be ready.
Yeah, definitely, no doubt about it. And again, it was encouraging to see the Nasdaq close off lows and end above its 50-day moving average. Some growth stocks definitely underselling pressure today, but not much, not a whole lot in the way of sell signals. And let's stay optimistic that a lot of these top-rated growth stocks this week are going to, come out with good results and help this market.
Yeah, well, we would love nothing more. And we are going to break down all of the action for the earnings movers and more throughout the week. Ken mentioned the Stock Market Today column. You can also check out IBD Live, our daily morning live stream where our experts are sharing their screens, talking about these actionable stocks or stocks that are setting up with their earnings around the corner, breaking down all the headlines and market conditions and portfolio tactics with the election just 1 week away. So make sure you check that out, investors.com/IBD Live. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you right back here tomorrow.